relationship cannot be made in a day. Take it easy, grow tender love, and watch it fly like a peaceful dove. If love is right, you will know love will fit like a hand in glove. Thank you. And, we have some young guys in the street shooting each other, and that's bad. And we got to address that in as many places. Hello, brothers and sisters. How are you doing? This is Larry Ukali Johnson Red broadcasting on Sprecher.com. And I tell you, I've been trying to get here, and now I'm really here. And not only that, but I want to start off just by dropping you in the middle of Nigeria. And this piece is from my book called Journey to the Motherland. Again, my name is Larry Ukali Johnson Red. And this piece is called On African Land because I lived in Nigeria for years, so I have stood on African land. And I want to show you, my brothers and sisters, what it feels like, at least what it felt like to me. On African land, on green foliage hills, and fertile plateaus, and dusty dirt roads, and the cultural setting of the old and the new. Cross a river in a canoe with an African crew. From the tropical south to the flat plains of Nigeria's north, view Benin's art, watch a traffic jam start, and those tall African trees and the people off their knees. Life in a black country is really something to see. You can ride by air and see a taxi there, a taste of life with all of the spice. The black woman is queen on the African scene, home of the black man on African land. So that's just a part of it, because again, I lived in Nigeria for 4 years. And after living there 4 years, I came back and worked at OMI Pilgrim Community Center. I worked at, I built the OMI Pilgrim Community Center. However, I am now the author of 7 books. The 7th one is on the way. It's still in the delivery room, so to speak. But this book, this piece here comes from my book called Long Distance Love. And though I would say go back to Africa anytime you want to, including my second trip, I did go back. But don't deal with no long distance love. This is just my advice. Because I got I got towed up in that long distance love. But I got a book on it called Long Distance Love. And all my books are at AmazonKindle.com. Okay, so now, touring Nigeria. We partied all night all over Lagos. With old and new friends, we shared a toast. I left the West Coast, San Francisco, 9 days ago. And the special food I love the most. Ran through Benin City. Nigeria defeated Zimbabwe in soccer. Moved on up to Edo State, towards Ubiaja, touring Nigeria, checking it all out. One thing about Benin City, all the girls look pretty, so pretty. To a kingdom in Igwebe, after 1,000 turns, but first past Ekpoma, and I thought of her. Then we reached Ubiaja to honor one of those gone past, true, and meet great friends, old friends and new. Great friends. Church was a colorful scene, with a beautiful singing choir flying to Benin. Riding from Ubiaja through Ondo and Ogun states, while the rain paid the water rates, We knew we were on the way when we reached the Ibadan Expressway, rolling back into Lagos and at the edge of night, sharing a cheer to the end with a very old friend. So many beautiful sisters of every shade. This happens in church. May God be praised. Touring a slice of Nigeria, not so long. This type of town should go on and on. Touring Nigeria and Ishan land, enjoying my friends in the home of the black man. So I will ask you this question in a poem this time, and it says this: If you want to visit Africa today, I know the way. From San Francisco to Benin City, read Journey of the Motherland quickly. You must grab this book first. This book will whet your thirst to visit our homeland, to understand today and before the white man. It is where we come from. Be smart about Africa, not dumb. Home of the Niger River, Nigeria, our culture deliver. 150 million African women, men, and children. Wake up early is a way of life. Men show love to their children and wife. Work to feed our extended family, the elders and the poor in the community. No one will doubt the supremacy of culture. We all see the brutality of the colonial vulture. Respecting our African past, building our continent to last. Black skins in Africa by the millions. Our culture, potential in the billions. So yeah, that would be the reason to go to Nigeria. And just to finish up this piece, Nigeria in every region, hot and rainy seasons. The Sahara in the north, tropical rainforests in the south. Food growing land all over the country, as long as there is peace, north, south, west, and Midwest, as well as east. Read Journey to the Motherland from San Francisco to Benin City. And the black woman. Okay, so there you go. I've read this piece about that, about Africa, because I spent 4 years there as a teacher from 1977 to 1981. I came back here in 1981. By 1983, I was working at OMI Pilgrim. It took a little while to get readjusted. Worked at OMI Pilgrim for a number of years, like 12 years. I saw the development. Actually, I wrote grants enough so that we could build a community center at OMI Pilgrim Community Center, now called IT Bookman Community Center. That was from 83 at OMI Community Association at 201 Granada. Then we built the community center at 446 Randolph on Pilgrim Community Church land, and we raised $1.5 million for that whole episode. And Mr. IT Bookman brought me in. He already had $200,000 he had written in grants, and then I added another $1.3 million in grants to various foundations in San Francisco and the mayor's office. We built the community center, and of course, we operated the community center for 5 years, after which there was a lot of acrimony, fighting amongst each other, and, I left, and after I left, the IRS came in because nobody else knew how to write grants, and so, eventually the church took the community center back. But it was a great effort. We did great things at OMI Pilgrim Community Center, which you can see on my Facebook page or on YouTube. Okay? All right, so now, what we're going to talk about today is there's just been too much violence against black people in the USA. And, we are going to talk about police violence and what we can do about it. Also, I would like to announce to you that I will have a booth at the Sacramento Black Book Fair. So I will be there. I will be one of the featured writers. So hopefully to speak to you more about AB 392, part of which I downloaded a little bit earlier today. And we're going to get into that a little bit. I'm going to give you some information about the various things going on, like the little brother that's got a bag put over his head, Again, he's arrested for resisting arrest. But if he wasn't arrested for resisting arrest, they had nothing on him because he hadn't stolen anything. But this is how it happens to black people in America, and this is why we got to come together to stop it. Well, sometimes you got to spice something up here. I'm gonna spice this podcast up a little bit. Again, my name is Larry Ukali Johnson Red. I have a website called www.lovingblackwomen. I'm always on Facebook. I'm going to start doing Twitter more. I'm going to start doing LinkedIn more. So look out for that. I have 7 books. My first book is called Journey to the Motherland, which basically was preceded by another edition called The Black Expatriate in Africa. But The Black Expatriate in Africa was the foundation on which I built Journey to the Motherland. Okay, so Journey to the Motherland is 1. Number 2 is History to Destiny through Afrocentric Poetry. I got a copy right here. The third book is called My first book is Journey to the Motherland. Second book is History to Destiny through Afrocentric Poetry. The third book is Loving Black Women, which is foundational. The fourth book is called Long Distance Love. It's a good read, but don't try any because it could get hurt. The fifth book is called American Challenges in the Obama Era. The sixth book is called American Challenges in the Obama Era. Both are 220-page parts, so it's my only book series. Part 1, 220 pages, $2.99 at Amazon.com. And then the other one is Part 2, and that one is $2.99 again at Amazon.com. Okay? Amazon.com Kindle. Amazon.com Kindle. And my 7th book is not yet at Amazon, and it's called Letter to My Brothers, and it will be forthcoming sometime this year. So I'm still working. But one of the funniest times when I was in Nigeria reading a book called on which the book Long Distance Love is based, I actually found myself surrounded by 9 cuties. Now, I know I'm in the Me Too movement, and this was written before the Me Too movement. But you can't imagine the emotions that ran through my mind when I was in Nigeria, had just arrived a couple of days earlier, and found myself surrounded. Where I was surrounded was I came to the swimming pool area of the Lagos International Airport Hotel, the Airport Hotel in Lagos. And so I was waiting for people to come and fix my TV. They needed it fixed. It was a color TV, but it needed to be fixed. So I walked out to watch the TV by the pool. And this is how it happened. I walked by the airport hotel swimming pool, and I saw a sight that could make a man drool. I did not know when their decision was made. I was suddenly surrounded by many a babe. There was 9 of them and one of me. All were wet and very pretty. So one of them asked, "What do you have for us?" Although tempted, no lust, I did not have a song. So I gave them a poem. I recited 2 good ones to the pretty and wet ones. They were dripping wet and bathing suits you could see right through. I was a little tempted too. I was happy to see these young cuties. They were very comfortable with their pretty bodies. They said they were 18 to 21. I had watched them in the pool having fun. And there they were, all shades of beautiful black, surrounded me in Lagos, you see, from all over Nigeria. They had no fear, and some wore G-strings. I could see, so I said goodbye. This is no lie. With temptation upon me, I ran to my room, chilled this afternoon. The Nigerian girl welcomed me to their world. 9 sweet cuties in bathing suits and G-strings. They surrounded me in our black country, charmed by all 9. They all were so fine. They were Lagos girls in Nigerian bushmeat. They were definitely Nigerian cuties. So, that was 2 parts of my trip. It was a bad trip, failed trip, but touring Nigeria was fun. Going from flying to Benin City, and then jumping on the jet there in Lagos, 30-minute flight, and then I ended up going to Ubiaja and meeting a very old friend, Humphrey Ugbesia. So, and Humphrey, if you're out there, man, give me a call, man. My number is 925-529-7660. That's for Humphrey Ugbesia. Please call the brother. We go back 30 years or so, maybe even 35. But while I was on that jet, I wrote this piece, Africa Bound. And these 3 poems about the cuties and about Africa Bound, they come out of the book called Long Distance Love, okay? All right, Long Distance Love in touring Nigeria, Africa Bound. The world is round, but I'm Africa bound. I can hear the sound, and blacks are found. Once again to my motherland, and always home of the black man. May my story be told, my homeland of gold, my people of old, where it's hot and rarely cold. Going in a family way, I will arrive later today to meet, the sweet lady. Bound for African glory, flying past the island of Gori. May my roots be found, I am Africa bound. Hoping to see a few old friends, looking to see some brand new trends. On a jet full of beautiful black faces, taking off to Africa full of cultural bases. Going home to unite with my sweetie, home, Nigeria, I found. I am Africa bound. Well, I just want to give you some real roots in this podcast, and that's why, I brought in some of my poetry. But again, this is a discussion about what we as a people are going to do with our lives and with ourselves and with our situation. And this is also a chance for us to talk about the Sacramento Black Book Fair coming up Friday and Saturday of next week. That's May 31st and June 1st. I will have a booth. I'll have a table. I'll be there to give you a book called Journey to the Motherland in your hand, not even an ebook, but in your hand. Of course, I got the ebooks. I got all my books are ebooks. But I will have Journey to the Motherland as a page turner so that I can send you to Africa just by reading the pages without a visa. Not only that, but we still have some other things we're going to talk about, including the book fair, the Black Book Fair, which is going to, if you go to Sacramento Black Book Fair com. You'll see all of the great writers and brothers and sisters who are going to be there presenting along with me. I will be one of them. They'll be one of me. So if you live in Sacramento, you would do very good by yourself if you would come and bring your family to the Sacramento Black Book Fair. And even before you go there, why don't you visit www.lovingblackwomen? I'll tell you what, if you go to www.lovingblackwomen, you'll see my website. You'll see links to Amazon.com. You could actually buy the ebook and download it in 60 seconds, any of my ebooks, from Journey to the Motherland to American Challenges in the Obama Era Part 2. And once you do that, you could probably contrast very well that book, the ebook, which has an extension on it, with the paperback I have. The paperback will be on sale for $5, but the ebook is $3.99 at Amazon.com Kindle, and it's a 60-second download. The special thing about the edition at Amazon.Kindle is that it will include a trip to London, which happened in 2015, when my students found me on the internet and at Facebook and ended up sending me a ticket and flying me over to over to London for their 4th convention, where I met all the students, many of the students I had taught, some of them, not all of them. And it was a wonderful affair because in that convention, they were all expressing to me their pleasure at my teaching style and how far it had gotten them. So I taught only one class there, government, but I taught it with passion because I've seen a government in the United States hoodwink and trick my people out of our freedom for 400 years. And when the tricks didn't work, they came with baseball bats or guns, But black Americans, African Americans, have been cheated out of their political power for 400 years. And even though we had Obama in, Obama couldn't do as much because he had opposition in Senate and Congress. But Obama paid attention to the separation of powers principle. Now you got an idiot in the power named Trump, and he doesn't realize there is a separation of powers, nor does he give the other branch of government that's not under his party any respect. In fact, he's walking the walk of an investigation and impeachment, and both are possible at this point. But one of the things that's really I hope to talk about more in Sacramento is the Assembly Bill 392, because with all this police violence that goes back to Matthew Johnson getting killed by the police in Hunters Point in 1966, causing the Hunters Point riot. You got Rodney King, they beat him like he was a thing down in Los Angeles. There's no part of the country where you don't have victims of police brutality. And all you got to do is go to News 1, and you'll find out today, they had, today 5/23/2019, they had a white police officer charged with killing a black mother of 4, but yet he still may get bail. If a black man killed a white woman of 4, I don't care if he was a police or not, he will not get bail. Let me keep it right. He will not get bail. Okay? And then sounds about Eric Garner. Eric Garner is the brother that was choked to death while he stated 11 times, "I can't breathe." Okay? And so the police seem to be using Garner's killer is using every trick in the book to delay his trial. And that's Officer Daniel Patelio. He strangled Eric Garner on camera and still works for NYPD. What? Yeah, he still works for NYPD. So that means that when you kill a black man, you just keep your job. You might get suspended or go on leave for a minute, but as soon as the climate comes down, you're back. And I'm looking at Eric Garner's picture. He was a very strong brother, okay? He shouldn't have died like that. And if he had been taken to jail and for his allegedly selling a few cigarettes to survive, he wouldn't have got more than 1 week in jail and he'd still be alive. Well, here's Pamela Turner's funeral to be held as Texas cop who killed her goes unpunished. Again, another case of them walking after killing blacks. Black women are killed by police too. Say their numbers, say their names. Or remember Sandra Bland, and among others. Remember their faces. The movement is about them too. Recognize, because brothers and sisters are getting killed by the popo. And that's not right. Okay, here's the one now. This is a note I got from Gloria from Moms Rising. I just wanted to make sure you saw the email in support of Samaria Rice. That's Tamir Rice's mother. As you remember, Tamir Rice was killed, the 12-year-old boy, again, because he was outside playing with his little toy gun. And so that's how it took them a few seconds upon rolling up on him, and then they shot him. So, and of course, those police walk too. Police don't get in trouble when they shoot black people, but if they shoot, or even if they shoot brown people. But if they shoot white people, there's going to be a trial. Well, that's just the beginning of it. But the reason we need to have Assembly Bill 392 passed, that by itself, as I review it, is only going to change the rules of engagement, like as in the military struggle. Because sometimes it is a military struggle. African-American men, in particular, and women, sometimes have trouble surviving a police stop. Of course, they've been urged on and by the new president, Trump. He helped to push it, to make it more, to make it like he doesn't care if you bump the head of somebody you putting in a police car. That was the early dog whistle he gave the police that is open season on black people because of Donald Trump, the racist Donald Trump. Okay? So, again, this AB 92 changes the rules of engagement so that a popo doesn't just have to say, oh, I was scared, so I killed me a black man. Because that's what they're doing now. The rules of engagement say anytime police feels afraid, he can shoot and he can kill. And the rules need to be changed. But not only the rules, the attitudes got to change. African Americans got human rights like everybody else. A human right is the right to see a judge if you did something wrong and not to be shot unarmed or shot in the back, running. If you run, they're not supposed to shoot you in the back, but they do it every day. Just like it's when slave times. Blacks ran away because they wanted to run away from the master. And oftentimes they were shot in the back or chased down by dogs. And that same inhumanity continues today, despite the 14th Amendment. But despite the fact that we have been historically wronged in this country, despite the fact that we should be given our human rights, never shot in the back, given a chance to go before a judge for anything we do wrong. That would only, in order for that to be fair, we'd have to have more black judges, more black men and more black women judges, which we don't. Although we do have many black graduates. And this is how it was going in 1940, when black people were still segregated from the Army. The Army was a segregated unit, whites at the top, blacks at the bottom. And there was a Tuskegee flyer situation. Well, what's that? I'm delving back into black history. Well, when they opened up the Tuskegee airfields to black pilots for World War II, most of the black pilots were already college graduates. And so when they tested, the white folks said, oh, you couldn't test this high. And they made them all take the test again. So whereas a white guy gets through on the first test, if it's good, it's okay. But if a black guy gets through on the first test, and it's okay because all blacks are not supposed to be smart according to white folks, then they go ahead and make the blacks test again. But as the world was to see, the same white bomber pilots felt safer with rail tails or with Tuskegee Airmen, guarding them and securing them than they ever felt with the white pilots. So black pilots shined in World War II. And we could shine now with all the hundreds and thousands of African-American college graduates. But even in a town like Chicago, we got 50% of the black men unemployed. And they call this a modern country? It's a modern racist country because there's no way in the world 40 or 50% of African Americans should be unemployed, including many of these African American college graduates. And I know because before I went to Nigeria, I worked with 3 American corporations in the San Francisco area. And I was met with racism at all 3 of them. Black jokes and all the rest. So my late wife was telling me, well, Larry, if you would go to Nigeria with me, you will never have your self disrespected. You will never have your dignity disrespected. And you'll always be employed. And to my late wife, I salute you right now and say you are quite correct on both of your pronouncements. I wasn't unemployed in Nigeria, and I was not insulted as a black man and as an African or as an African American while I was in Nigeria. So, again, we get back to 392. So, in other words, when you have this 392 in force, when homicide results from a police officer's use of force other than deadly force, that is a compliance with subdivision of Section 835A. So, in other words, they're making provision, but in so many cases, like with Sean Bell of New York City, he was shot 50 times and he never had a chance to go to court. Amadou Diallo was shot a number of times because he was holding a cell phone, which they conveniently thought was a gun, which is the same thing in effect that happened to Stephon Clark in Sacramento. They said he had a gun. No, he didn't. He had a cell phone. And so you don't just shoot people now and find out later in that panic. You do give people a chance to give up. You do give people a chance to, before you get all hyper and start shooting. Will AB 392 stop the massive amount of American killings of African Americans? I don't know. But I know that not only the law needs to change, so the police who kill blacks unarmed go to jail. Not only must the law change, chokeholds must be banned forever. I don't know. I haven't seen that here yet. I'm going to keep looking. And it's AB 92. But the chokeholds have always historically been something that has gotten out of hand with white folk when they get to choking blacks. And all of a sudden, before you know it, black man is dead. It says, for purposes of this section, the following definitions shall apply. Deadly force means any use of force that creates a substantial risk of causing death or serious bodily injury, including, but not limited to, the discharge of a firearm. Well, this is legalese, but we already know that the white police figure, if he put 50 bullets in a black person, he will never do 50 bullets on a white person. As a matter of fact, when this white guy went into the church in Atlanta, shot up all those people in the pro-liberation church, when that happened, he gets, taken to McDonald's. He gets treated like a gentleman. Black man who gets stopped in a regular traffic stop, you better believe they got their guns out just to come see you. And if you move the wrong way or go for your license, as Richard Pryor would say, it's too late for you. So you got to put on your professional voice. Officer, can I help you? Otherwise, you just never know what's going to happen. So a threat of death or serious bodily injury is imminent when, based on the totality of the circumstances, a reasonable officer in the same situation would believe that a person has the present ability, opportunity, and apparent intent to immediately cause death or serious bodily injury to the peace officer or another person. Well, they played with that one all the time. I mean, Sean Bell was probably 15 or 20 feet away from him, and they shot him like crap, as though he was right next to him. Eric Gardner was on the ground with 4 or 5 guys on him, and 11 times he said, "I can't breathe," and you still got a chokehold on him? What kind of adrenaline is that? Until he dies. So, again, this is, a time for us to support 392, but also support a new attitude, an attitude that respects the human rights of black and brown people in this country. In California, they shoot a lot of brown people. I don't know about the rest of the country, but in California, they shoot brown people like almost as bad as they shoot black people. In some other parts of the country, maybe it's more black people than brown. The whole thing is wrong. The whole thing is wrong. Shooting somebody in the back is wrong. Shooting somebody in the back is wrong. Shooting somebody who's unarmed is wrong. Shooting somebody who's unarmed is wrong. It violates civil rights. It violates human rights. So, again, we'll talk more about this 392 with the people of Sacramento when I get there, brothers and sisters. Hope to see you there. I hope you'll visit my table. But also, I'm going to give you some more updates. White police officer charged with killing a black mother of 4. Okay, we heard that one. But there is much more. Dante Parker, a father of 5, died August 12, 2014, after he was tasered by the San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy who tried to restrain him on suspicion of trying to break into a home. Well, you know what? You cannot just kill people. Give them a chance to have a day in court. 2 police officers from St. Louis Metropolitan Police fatally fired 12 shots at Kajimi Powell, a mentally ill man who was suspected of shoplifting. So, again, you see, if there's no de-escalation tactics, then you could have 50,000 murders in America. But since there's only blacks they're killing, we're down to about 350, and that's sad. Laquan McDonald, 17. Laquan McDonald was shot 16 times by Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke in the city's South Side area, October 20th, 2014. So Trayvon was killed in 2012. Again, Trayvon is, killed by a vigilante. But whether it's a vigilante or whether it's a policeman, they walk in this country when they kill black people. That's wrong. Will 392 change that facts on the ground? That's what we're going to have to see as we examine the proposed legislation more. Again, justice for Tamir Rice, November 22nd, 2014. We were demonstrating then. Remain Bridgestone. And again, if you don't believe me, just go to News One and just download it from there. It's easy to do. News One is Al Sharpton's station, right? It's a digital station anyway. 2 Bridgetown, New Jersey, police officers fired fatal shots at Jermaine Reed, who had defied orders, allegedly, to remain in a vehicle and stepped out of the passenger side with his hands raised. Don't shoot, don't shoot. And he was shot anyway. That's Jerome Reed, 36. And then Charlie Kunang, 43. A homeless Cameroonian national, a brother from Africa, was shot and killed by 3 Los Angeles police officers who supposedly for a cop's holstered gun. I don't know if he did that or not. But, they didn't want to release the video so that we wouldn't see. Here's another one. Tony Robinson, Madison, Wisconsin cop fatally shot unarmed teen Tony Robinson 7 times after the officer responded to reports of a battery at a residence, and a struggle ensued between the two on March 6, 2015. And this is a shooting that led to protests. Because, we know what's going on. Shoot a black person at the first instance. Say you feel scared and then empty the gun. That's just not proper police behavior, nor is that respect for human rights of African Americans. Here again, Walter Scott, 50. Walter Scott was killed by North Charleston, South Carolina police officer Michael Slager, who fired 8 shots at the father of 4 after having chased him on foot following a traffic stop, April 4th, 2015. How much more do we have to go? How much more? How much more? Freddie Gray died in Baltimore on April 19th, 2015. Again, died in police custody, like Sandra Bland. Here's another one. Brendan Glenn. Video footage captured the fatal shooting of Brendan Glenn, an unarmed homeless man, by L.A. police officer Clifford Proctor, a black cop who claimed Glenn attempted grabbing his gun during a struggle along the Venice Beach boardwalk. However, if the guy's running away, he's no longer a threat. Get him another time. You cannot fire in the back of a black man and think that it's just a plaything. It's murder. And if you're a black police and you think you can get away with it because white folks do it, that's not good thinking. That's real bad thinking on your part. Okay, Samuel DuBose. On July 19th, 2015, University of Cincinnati police officer Raymond Tensing fired a fatal shot through a car window that struck Samuel DuBose in the head during a traffic stop near the university's campus in Ohio. Christian Taylor. I could just go on and on and on. It's not just California, where you have Stephen Clark or Mario Woods in San Francisco. It's not just California, Rodney King in L.A. It's not just California. It's all over the United States that they are shooting black men and women and walking away. Jamar Clark, another one. After responding to a domestic dispute in Minneapolis, Minnesota, police fatally shot an unarmed Jamar Clark during an altercation on November 15th. It was always a little something, but they break up domestic disputes every day without killing people. Why is it when it's black people you got to kill somebody? San Francisco police reportedly fired more than 20 gunshots at Mario Woods, who cops suspected of. Okay, but because you are a suspected cop, you are not judge, jury, and prosecutor, as well as executioner. Those jobs are not yours. They're the jobs of the courts and the government, right? But again, Mario Woods, a victim in my hometown of San Francisco. So you see, this thing has been going on. Quintanio LeGrier, who called 911, reported 3 times for help in a domestic disturbance with his father, was fatally shot by a Chicago officer who claimed LeGrier came out with a baseball bat. Now, because he's walking with the bat and he's in a domestic dispute, that doesn't give you a right to shoot him right away. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So we visited Africa today. You know, I'm a brother from a good experience in the homeland, and so we did, go to Nigeria, and we enjoyed it. I'm sure you've learned something about Africa, but you also learned something disheartening